locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Wrestling.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
What's wrong with you?
What?
Are you trying to get us sued?
Listen.
That is a copyrighted phrase.
Come on.
And you're going to get us in some big, big trouble with your... You know what? Actually, that's such a bad impression, no one would ever confuse it with the original thing.
Give me a
Never
break.
mind. Never mind, I said it.
Listen, Michael Buffer doesn't mind when the Duke rips him off for a second.
Michael Buffer only has made money off of that.
True.
So I think he's going to... You go after his bread and butter. He's coming after you, Jack.
Well, listen, I am the bread, okay? That's it.
Yeah.
The wheat bread, Jack.
Wonder bread. Because I wonder about you.
Yeah, give me a break. Welcome back to Duke Loves Wrestling. I am the Duke. And yes, I do enjoy doing not only pro wrestler impersonations, but announcer impersonations. I'm going to keep on doing them no matter what my illustrious co-host, the Boston bad boy, Iron Mike Pelosi, says.
What I'm going to say is, no, sir, you're going to want to speak to Duke. I'm not the one that's copyright infringing you. So I'll just direct. That's
you
what
wouldn't sell me out like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, God.
Without question, without thought, without hesitation.
Well, folks, we have a very special edition of Duke Loves Wrestling because the fight of the century, we're talking about Floyd Money Mayweather taking on Conor McGregor, and the Duke is going to let you know all about it, Jack. That's right.
I don't think so. I'm going to stop you right there because you are a nerd about fake fighting, which you call professional wrestling, and this is real fighting.
Don't be disrespectful.
So what we're going to do is get an actual expert on the show during what I like to call a little segment called An Actual Expert on the Show. And I was able to get a guy who you may have heard of, Mr. Mike Cappiello. He is, and I'm going to do a real announcer voice for you.
Here we go.
So I want you to watch and learn while I give this gentleman his proper intro. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast, the U.S. Boxing Federation World Super Featherweight Champion, former U.S. Boxing Federation World Featherweight Champion, world title contender, and world-class boxing trainer, Mr. Michael Little Rock Cappiello.
Whoa. We're talking about Mike Little Rock Cappiello, the owner of the world-famous Cappiello Brothers boxing gym in Brockton, Massachusetts. How are you, champ?
Good. Thank you for having me tonight.
Oh, man, this is really a treat here. We got a guy who, not only a local guy, but a guy known all over the world as a world-class trainer and a champion, which is cool. Listen, you're also a relative of who's considered one of the greatest boxers, if not the greatest of all time, Rocky Marciano. How does it feel to keep that family lineage going strong to this day?
Oh, well, of course, the thing is, when before I owned my gym, I was in college. I played football for a little while, and then I just decided I was too small. So I wanted to try something different, and considering Rocky was Rocky's mother, my father's mother or sisters, and he's in the blood, I decided to give boxing a shot. Wow. And I did. The funny thing is, when I started, my parents were really concerned. They, Rocky's brother at the time owned a sporting goods store, so they went and bought some equipment, and they said, Peter, I'm a little nervous. My kid wants to box. So Peter said, don't worry about it. It's going to be short-lived. And 19 years later, I retired.
Wow, look at that! And now you're training, so you've kept it going on even longer than that, which is hilarious. There, listen. All right, so we got you here, and as you know, what's considered one of the biggest fights of the century here. We're talking Floyd Money Mayweather going up against Conor McGregor. As a boxer and a trainer, what's your take on both of those fighters?
Let me tell you. Okay, so let's start out with Floyd. Okay, Floyd, his name says what he is. He's a money man, okay? And the reason why he's a money man is because Floyd has been the best technical fighter, pound for pound, okay? We could say in his prime. He's not in his prime now, but when he was in his prime, he was the best pound-for-pound fighter. He fought everybody and anybody that was there. Manny Pacquiao, Miguel Cotto, Canelo
Alvarez.
I mean, he fought everybody and anybody, okay? anything they took to the table, they couldn't beat him. Because you know what? Technically, he's a great fighter, okay? So now let's go to Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is the best, they say, pound for pound in the MMA game, okay? And you know what? He's proven it. He's physically a strong guy, okay? 28 years old, okay? Known as a great striker, okay? Unorthodox and awkward, okay? Which could give Mayweather a problem because when you're unorthodox and awkward, you don't know where the next punch is coming from, okay? And he's strong. Physically, he's a bigger man than Floyd Mayweather. Okay, I think they're going to weigh in right around the 160-pound weight class, all right? By fight time, okay, McGregor feels he's going to probably be 175 pounds.
And that's all solid muscle right there. Boy.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, these guys here, which I had to do myself, you know, you try to dehydrate yourself to make this weight, okay? Look at 24 hours after that weigh-in, these guys are 15 pounds more than what they weighed in at, you know, and if they do it the right way. And both of these guys, okay, have been there, okay, done that, so they know how to do it. Now, Floyd Mayweather is just coming up in weight, and that's because Floyd's older now. Floyd's 40 years old now. So, you know, a lot of people are saying, is Floyd the same guy he was before? Let me tell you, when you're a fighter, okay, you never know if your day is done, okay, until you get in there. You could be in your training sessions working great, but all of a sudden, the night of the fight, you lost something. And so people wonder, is Floyd done? I think Floyd's probably a little too smart for that, but, you know, this is the fight game. When you're in the fight game, you never know what's going to happen, and that's why it's exciting to people.
So exciting really is the name of the game with this fight, because there's a spectacle building up around this. People who aren't even fans of fighting are going to watch it, and the whole thing with the McGregor angle coming in from the UFC side of things and the MMA stuff. Do you think that pulling that crowd in from the MMA style fighting, does that help the sport of boxing, which is a much more traditional kind of style of fighting and a much more traditional sport?
Hey, look, what it's doing is it's bringing the two together. I can't say it's helping the sport out, but it's bringing the two together, okay? So now you've got some bragging rights here. You've got the MMA guy against the boxing guys, okay? So there are some bragging rights. And you know what? It's a fight that the MMA people have to, you know, they could have a chance to win. You never know, because it's a fight game and we got a bigger guy, okay, that's only 28 years old. You never know what can happen against a 40-year-old guy who has been inactive for 3 years, I think.
Is maybe too much being put on Mayweather's shoulders, though? I mean, in his state, is he representing boxing as a sport, and he might not be able to hold up against sort of the young, coming upper? Well,
here's what you got to look at. You've got to look at the young. I mean, he was the best pound-for-pound fighter in his prime, okay? He must feel as though he's got something left, okay, in order to do this.
Right.
But, again, you know, let me tell you something. So it was a while ago, and it was on ESPN, I think it was, and I can't think of the guy's name, but another guy stepped in the ring, and he didn't have it that night. And he was also one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in his weight division. Bernard Hopkins is who I'm thinking of. So Bernard Hopkins stepped into the ring against an up-and-coming guy that was a strong guy, okay? He did get knocked out of the ring, he lost the fight. But this guy here that beat him was taking a chance, okay? And it only helped his career because he beat one of the guys that was in the top of his game when he was there. So this could happen to McGregor. If McGregor ever beats Mayweather, okay, now there's going to be, you can bet your money there's going to be more fights between MMA guys and boxing guys, okay? And another thing, McGregor is making the biggest payday he'll ever make in this fight, okay? Any payday he would make in MMA, he's making way more money now. So, you know, this is what this game's all about. It's about making money. Okay, they both They both deserve to be there because you know what? They are there. If you're there, then apparently you deserve to be there. And you got people talking about the fight. So it's going to be a great matchup, okay?
You've said so many times that on the night of the fight, the fighter has to have gas in the tank. As a trainer, what do you tell, if I'm that guy, what do you tell me going into that fight to get my head in the right place so that I have that gas in the tank to make my last stand in the ring?
Look, you did the training's done, okay? You in the training, if the fighter's not training to his best ability and putting 100% effort in, then it's the fighter that's only hurting himself. Floyd Mayweather would not come into this fight undertrained, okay?
Right.
Neither would Conor McGregor, okay? So they're both, you know, and any fighter that does come in undertrained, then shame on them. Then, you know, they hurt their own opportunity right there. So look at these guys here. This fight, they've been talking about this fight for a long time. These guys have been training for quite some time for this fight. So they're both going to come in with their A game, okay? Whatever they have. Okay, and we're going to see what can happen at that point.
So let me ask you something here, Mike. You being a world-class trainer and also a former world champion your own self, if Conor McGregor, this UFC guy who really is not a boxer, let's make that clear. He hasn't been a boxer since he was 11 years old when he first started learning how to fight, period. If he walks into your gym and he says to you, I want to be trained by, you know, you right here, Mike, can you help me out? How long would it take for you, legitimately, to train him up to the point where he can compete with one of the greatest of all time, Floyd Money Mayweather?
Well, you know, I don't think you'd have enough time to do that in actuality. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, Floyd Money Mayweather is the best out there. You know, but again, Floyd right now is 40 years old. Look at this is a time for a new guy to step up, okay, and be the guy that was the best, okay. And you know what? That would make McGregor be like the king of the MMA world, okay. Yeah, it takes time to do that. It's not easy. Look, I have had many guys that have come up that are MMA guys, and they want to learn to use their hands better. Their style is just totally different from the boxing style because they're unorthodox and they're awkward because they have different stances. I always say that you could help a MMA guy have better hands, okay? But you can make an MMA guy a better boxer, but you can't make a boxer a better MMA fighter.
Wow.
That's great.
You know?
That's great. And so you've given us all this information here. You've told us about all the different sides from the training side of it and from your experience in the ring. Help me out here. Make me look smart come the fight time. Who's going to win this thing, man?
Okay, so here's what's going to go on, okay? Floyd Mayweather is technically skilled, okay?
Uh-huh.
He's older. He's not going to, you know, people think that Floyd Mayweather is going to take the fight to Conor McGregor. That's not going to happen. Floyd Mayweather has been training up in the desert, okay?
Endurance.
Biking, yes, for endurance. He's been biking, running a lot, okay? Doing a lot of sprints, okay? Floyd Mayweather is a distance guy, okay? Conor McGregor, Conor McGregor is going to try to take the fight to him. And again, he's going to do it in awkward, unorthodox style. Floyd Mayweather is not going to get mixed into that at the beginning of the fight. So there's going to be a boxing lesson that's going to take place for the first 4 or 5 rounds, okay? Then you can look at Floyd Mayweather either winning the fight in the end, how he has been winning all his fights, which is by unanimous decision, okay, winning every single round. Or, you know what, he could stop McGregor, but if he stopped him, it would be with a variety of punches.
So you're saying it's going to be him one way or another. You think he's going to win with his consistency as he always has done, or he's going to figure out a combination of punches that's going to stop this guy in his tracks?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Wow, there it is.
That's a hot take. Floyd Mayweather.
That's a hot take from the man.
The call coming from the world-class trainer.
There is a good undercard, too, just to let you know.
Uh-oh. So wait a second. There's more than one fight happening on that card?
Yes. And here's the thing: Floyd Mayweather. Now look at Floyd's not now. Floyd's making a comeback, but Floyd is a promoter. Really, and he promotes fights. One of his favorite guys, okay, is Gervonta Davis. He's a 130-pound IBF lightweight champion. He's going to be fighting Francisco Fonseca for his IBF title. Now he's got very quick hands and a lot of speed, so he's a big favorite to win that fight.
Wow.
There's a second fight that's going to be there, that's going to be on there for the WBA light heavyweight championship, and that's going to involve a guy named Nathaniel Cleverly against Bedo Jack. Now Bedo Jack is the champion right now. He's considered the favorite, and he's got a good defense. But this guy Nathaniel Cleverly is the underdog, but he's a volume puncher type of guy. So you could possibly see an upset there because he throws a lot of punches. And in the last fight, before the main event, you've got this guy Andrew Tabiti versus Steve Cunningham for the vacant cruiserweight title. Tabiti is the younger guy, and he's the favorite guy. The guy that's favored, where Cunningham's is 41 years old. But you know what? Never count anybody else. Again, as we've been saying throughout the whole show, this is the boxing game, and you never know what's going to happen.
Former champ, we're talking about Michael Capiello of the world-famous Capiello Brothers boxing gym there. Tell everybody where they can find your gym, Mike, if they want to get some world-class training of their own.
We're located at 162 Main Street in Brockton on the 3rd floor. And, of course, we're in the city of Brockton, where Rocky Marciano was from, and that's what the gym is named after. And
City of Champions.
I know, yes. And Rocky put Brockton on the map. We want to try to keep it there, you know?
Dispel one last myth for me, my friend, if I can ask you. Boxers don't really train by punching meat hanging in a freezer, right? That's all Hollywood, right?
That's a good movie. Makes a good movie, you know?
Wow, what a guess that one was, huh?
That's what you call the real deal, my friend.
Yeah, whatever. You pat
Straighten
yourself
you
on
right
the
up.
back.
Listen, people want content when they listen to the show. I'm bringing the best content around to them.
I will
and
give you
I'm
credit for
jumping
that.
over you because you are nothing but a roadblock when it comes to stuff like that.
The Duke knows about boxing, first of all. Okay, let's not kid ourselves here. Okay, but I'll tell you right now, when you bring in Little Rock,
that's right,
to come on the show, that's a big deal.
Yeah. That's right. So you're welcome.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
I don't know who you reached out to for that one.
Don't you worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about it. Because, this show drags when it's always just you talking. So I try to keep that to a minimum if I can.
You know what? Just for that, run the ropes. It's time to run the ropes. I give my opinion and straighten out the Boston Bad Boy on the top 5 stories in the world of professional wrestling.
Fake news.
Let's go. Rusev and Lana ask for their release. You're not going to believe this, Boston.
Yeah,
Bad
when
Boy.
am I getting my release from this show? I hope that's going to happen a lot sooner than Vince letting them out of their
I have
release.
you locked into a strong contract. Ironclad, my friend. Ironclad. So this is a big controversy, Boston Bad Boy. Yesterday, the internet almost broke, okay, because there was news that Rusev and the lovely Lana, his wife, allegedly they went to WWE writers and screamed at them and then demanded they be released from the contracts because they're not being used properly.
Well, I mean, we call these people independent contractors.
Sure.
Then you write them into a hole. I was just saying this about something else. We were talking to, I think, Rudy on Facebook, Rudy Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And I said, what are you? Are you an independent contractor where you're free to go? Or are you tied to this promotion with Vince where he'll just write you in a corner and then you're stuck?
See?
Which is it? You going to have it both ways?
Well, guess what? It was proven to be a false story. So egg on your face, pal.
That's not egg on my face.
Egg on your face.
No, the concept still stands.
Run in your mouth. Egg on your face.
Doesn't matter if they did, but because someone knows whoever wrote that story, even if it's fanciful, it's not like it hasn't happened before.
Give me a break. All right. Well,
give you a break. Give me a break.
Anyways, it was disproven. It's not true. Lana and Rusev are very happy with their WWE situation because Vince McMahon, we all know, takes care of his wrestlers.
You know,
so there's nothing to see.
Here's a hot take for you.
Okay?
I believe they were coerced into saying it was a fake story, and the fact that it actually did really happen. They were coerced by Vince and company to say, "Oh no, we're very happy here." It's like those pictures you see from North Korea, and everyone's happy and smiling, except there's a guy with a rifle standing just out of frame that you never see. That's what I think.
Sometimes I just don't know what to do with you.
Just tell me I'm right. That's all you got to do.
Unbelievable.
Just tell me I'm right.
Asuka injured.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is bad news, man. So Asuka defended her NXT Women's Championship at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn.
Okay.
Right? She took on Ember Moon.
Aha.
And it was literally the match of the night.
They
telling
always
you
have
right
a good
now,
match
They
between
do.
the two.
Yeah, and Asuka she's the real deal, man. She's probably the best female wrestler on the planet right now. But she injured her collarbone.
Ooh,
that's a bad one.
That is a painful.
You know? Yes.
I mean, if you've ever broken any bones and it hurts.
Sure.
Collarbone, because you don't realize how much that moves.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
and you can't do much once you do that.
No.
But here's the best part.
Never mind wrestle.
She wrestled the entire match, and she looks like she broke it in the middle of the match.
Ooh.
Finished the match, and then did an interview afterwards.
You know what? Probably her adrenaline was so high it kept her from fainting.
And she's
tough. I'm a little baby, so I would faint immediately. But like you would, all these wrestlers
No,
you challenge.
I don't faint.
Yeah, you.
No, I run. I run.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be able to run.
Yeah.
But that's so. What are they saying? Is it a break? Is it a what is it?
They called it an injury, but it's not looking too good. Now they claim she's only going to be out for 8 weeks.
Oof.
But here's the reality. A collarbone injury is more like an 8-month.
Well,
deal.
you see it in the NFL. People get injured and they're done for a season.
Yeah, exactly.
So
she's not. She didn't have to vacate the title yet, but stay tuned on that because that may.
Is that what happens if someone gets injured? They just force you out.
Yeah, there's two ways. You could have them come back in the ring.
Yeah.
And get pinned quickly or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's not too much damage. Hopefully. Or you just strip them of the title, which...
What they should do is just say, okay, the title is temporarily off of you. We're going to, it's going to be up for grabs again. But when you're better...
You get a rematch.
Yeah. You're going to get a rematch.
Sure.
Unless you want to be like Apollo Creed. There ain't going to be no rematch.
Well, listen, to our friend Asuka, I know she listens to the show and she's fantastic. Get well soon. I know you're not going to be happy about this, Boston Bad Boy.
Please, add it to the list.
Yeah. No charges against Paige. I know. This is
Wait
something.
a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That recall, you know what? This is what we were talking to our good friend, Rudy Boy Gonzalez, about. Now, you've jogged my memory.
Here we go.
So explain to me, because I didn't have the patience to read the whole thing. You do the nerd research.
Sure.
So explain this to everybody here, where we're at with this.
The Orlando District Attorney wanted to pursue charges. But Alberto El Patron, Alberto Del Rio, whatever you want to call him, he doesn't want to cooperate. And I guess the way that their laws are set up there, the victim has to cooperate in order to go forward on a domestic charge there.
Now, in recent times, the law in some places has changed so that a person in a relationship cannot drop the charges, because I guess the thinking is if someone is being victimized, they may not have the wherewithal to continue with the process that's going to help them in the end.
Yep.
However, in Florida, which we know is a state of bizarre laws to begin with.
Stand your ground. Give me a break.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're going to allow someone who's being victimized, someone to potentially continue to be victimized, allegedly, I guess we have to say. But
no,
doesn't
there's no allegedly. It was proven.
All right, so it did happen.
There's video, there's witnesses,
so
there's everything.
Tell me how that makes any sense.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
So let's... I think the laws were changed. I think in where we are, the law is that you can't do that.
You don't need those problems.
And that was probably because a majority of the domestic violence seemed to be coming from men towards women. So and men victimizing women and women being too afraid to stand up for themselves. So now that it's reversed, somehow it's not as we can let it go. We can let the victim not stand up for themselves. And in Florida, it's a it's absurd.
Yeah. Well.
So now what's going to happen is this person who did this thing is not going to have criminal charges, which means they get to keep their livelihood. The company, the WWE, gets to look the other way and pretend it never happened until what happens? It happens again, and it's going to happen again because that's how these people operate.
Well, listen. I hope that Paige gets the help that she deserves, because domestic violence is very serious.
Absolutely.
And it's getting kind of scary.
But you can't have a situation where there are no consequences. It's one thing getting help where help is needed, but you break the law. And there needs to be consequences for that. There needs to be consequences and help.
Sure.
But let's do it in that order.
Sure. And I hope that Alberto Del Rio gets the support that he needs, because he certainly needs it. You know, this guy lost all of his jobs.
Right. He's the guy that lost everything.
The victim lost every wrestling organization that he wrestles for has stepped back from
This
him.
is total victimization. Not only did she hit him,
Yeah.
she perpetrated a cloud around this guy that made people step back away from him.
And you know what I'm starting to believe, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm
Is she
getting
that
the feeling.
good? I mean, is
Well,
that
hold
what
on.
this relationship
no,
is?
But hold
Is
on.
that chemistry? What is it?
I think that part of the reason why these companies are taking a step back from him, because they're saying to him, dude, we're not going to take you and her. We're not
Right.
going to be in a
We can't deal
situation
with her.
where a person who is abusing you is allowed backstage and doing things and what have you. So look, you want to be here, fine, but you can't bring her.
But that, you know what? You can't do that, because what if it's the woman whose crazy ex-husband is stalking her at work and the job fires her and she's got to say she's got a kid or something? The job's going to say, "Listen, I can't have him coming around here, so you're fired." We would say that that's awful.
Well,
It's
no,
it
not
is.
necessarily, because they don't want the liability of something happening on their property.
But
Because then they're liable.
but what's the right thing to do here?
Well, the
what's
right
the right thing to do?
the right thing to do
is to
is-
support this guy.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Just like if somebody worked for me, man or woman, was being victimized, I'm not going to say, "Hey, listen, sorry for your troubles. I know you're getting your ass kicked at home. I know you probably got no money. Now you got no job, and now you're a pariah. Hey, good luck with all that."
Well, the tricky part is they've suspended him indefinitely. They haven't fired him. So
They
obviously it's conditional.
They essentially future endeavored
But
him,
it's
is what they did.
conditional, obviously. So clearly there's something that he needs to do in order for them to let him back in, which, once again, I kind of feel like, don't bring her around, then you can come back. And
I know,
maybe
but
that's just not an option.
it's an effing mess, is what it is.
Yeah, and I feel bad
it's-
for him, you know.
I think they're both, there's in this recent issue, this is all on her. But I think they've both made a lot of bad decisions regarding their own careers and what's best for their own livelihoods. But it's just a mess, and there's no simple way out of it. But, like, there's no way we're going to unpack everything. It's crazy.
Prayers go out to everybody involved. And Alberto, we support you, brother. We feel really bad for you overall. We support you. John Cena.
Ugh.
Yeah, your favorite. John Cena returns to Raw.
I'm so bored already.
So look, he's been away for a number of years from
Good.
Raw. He's
Good.
been on SmackDown when he comes back and what have you. But
Keep him in one place and even less. How about that?
But here's the best part. He makes his return, and he challenges my arch nemesis, Roman Reigns.
Boy.
So this is I'm stuck in the middle here, Boston Bad Boy, because I have there's no love lost between Cena and I.
Well,
Okay,
true.
But Roman Reigns is my arch nemesis.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
I think John Cena and I have to come together.
Did John Cena come back with any, new outfit or anything, or did he freshen the look at all?
No, he wears his T-shirt,
Yeah.
and he wears his wristbands,
and
he has a hat on,
yeah.
and he has his big sneakers, which
big
is
sneakers,
cool.
and
Yeah.
his dungaree pedal pushers.
What the hell?
That's what my grandmother would call them. And they're almost like an acid wash. What is that?
Come on.
What is it?
Why are you doing this?
Listen, you're talking about evolution. We've talked about the evolution of a gimmick and evolution of whatever, and wrestling need to be dynamic. John Cena not only is a dinosaur, he looks like a dinosaur.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm surprised Vanilla Ice hasn't got him for copyright infringement for that look.
Will you stop?
I mean, does John Cena dance the Macarena like it's 1994? What does he do?
Listen.
He's got the acid wash jeans. Is he voting for Bill Clinton? What's going on here?
All right. You know what?
Is he in a time warp? Are we in a time
Don't
warp?
talk
What is
about
going
John
on?
Cena like that. That's very disrespectful. Listen, John Cena, I don't really care for you too much, but in this
That's a
instance,
glowing endorsement.
You can wear your dungarees all you want.
Please.
Just destroy my arch nemesis, and maybe, just maybe, I will applaud you for the one time in your entire life.
I don't think I've ever seen you wear dungarees. Do you wear dungarees?
I'm not going to wear that nonsense. What are
No,
you talking
you don't
about?
wear any. You don't wear. You
I
don't
wear
go for
slacks.
a jean.
I'm a well-heeled man. Come on.
You know what? You definitely are a slacks man.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
No, it's not.
All right, well, just checking. The number one story in the world of professional wrestling, Boston Bad Boy,
It's
is
gonna be something in Maine. Let me guess.
SummerSlam. SummerSlam weekend took over Brooklyn.
Look at you.
Now,
what
listen.
a big weekend. It was like Christmas, wasn't
What
it?
was a huge deal there? Because, and this is where it gets interesting, all right?
I'll be the judge of that.
I'm going to talk to you about business.
All right.
So they invaded Brooklyn. They hosted NXT TakeOver on Saturday, SummerSlam on Sunday, Raw on Monday, SmackDown on Tuesday, NXT on Wednesday, and they also had 205 Live, which aired on Tuesday night.
So they were down there for a whole week, basically.
Dude, do you understand the amount of money that city made with WWE being there?
Which is great because they're losing all that money paying for Trump to be in town and having to have security around his building. So they could use all the money they could
time. Yeah.
I think they might have bailed out the city of New York.
Thank you, Linda McMahon. She really made that
Where
happen.
were they at? Where were they at? Where was the venue?
Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which Jay-Z owns part of, by the way.
Really? So he made a little coin on that.
Sure did. Sure did. So this is, how awesome is that?
Well, I mean, I think they're smart enough to time it between pro sports seasons, right?
Sure,
so we're not quite into basketball yet, are we?
Nope.
So, why not?
It's a shot in the arm. And look, to all you...
And the venues who are going to be empty anyway because Ringling Brothers isn't coming around.
That's a good point.
They'll say, boy, we keep turning the lights on for this place? Why not?
They're safe for the next couple of months in that regard. The amount of money that was generated from all those events happening in the same building, by the way.
Now, when they do boom, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the events are, are they dealing with full houses every time?
Full houses every time, but they arrange it differently.
Oh.
So
it's a different setup when you go.
You had more seats for SummerSlam than anything else.
Sure.
But still... You had a packed house.
but by changing it around and people are seeing different things, it gives people incentive to go to all of them.
Sure.
Not necessarily looking for a new crowd.
Sure, hot tickets there. And look, everybody out there, because I know we have some elected officials that listen to the show, you really need to get on the ball as far as recruiting WWE to come to your city and stay for a couple of days.
Absolutely.
Because that's a shot in the arm. The tax revenue alone is
well,
just
the thing is, you do these multi-day things, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give them an idea, which I shouldn't, but look at things like Comic-Con and stuff, San Diego, and they go to all these small towns. They're there for a couple of days.
Yep.
And that's dealing with a whole, but there's sort of a similar fan base.
Sure, sure.
Why not make it a whole thing? I mean, I think WWE could focus on multi-day events as well as, the towns and cities getting these guys involved.
Yeah.
Because, again, have an arena sit there empty, or have it full of people that you don't normally get there necessarily.
But you in a weekend,
and an affordable ticket, perhaps.
Yeah, in a matter of a couple of days, you generate at least $40 to $80 million in tax revenue.
That's pretty good.
That's a lot of money.
And a lot of that comes from the taxes you collect on selling Vince McMahon's 40-year-old popcorn that he popped back when his old man was alive, and they're still rebagging it and reselling the extra stuff.
I just don't know what to do with this guy. You've heard what I think. Now tell me what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm a jerk? Yep. Maybe something in between? Head over to Facebook. Head over to Twitter. Type in Duke Loves Wrestling and let me know. I don't like when you say yup when I do that. It's really disrespectful.
Truth hurts.
Up next, we got him, Ken Reedy.
Okay, folks, you've got Susan Tex Green here, one of the only women to beat the Fabulous Moolah. Look in the record books, you'll see me. I love wrestling with the Duke. Look forward to seeing all y'all. And be with La Alamo.
Hey everybody, my name is Ken Reedy, host of The Ken Reedy Show, the best in pro wrestling talk, giving you the most comprehensive look at the world of pro wrestling, and I'm psyched to be on with you guys today.
See that, Duke? There's a guy with over a decade of experience with his own internet radio show, showing you how it's done to have a podcast. Ken, can you tell Duke maybe he should quit while he's behind with this whole hosting a show thing, because he really doesn't have the experience or really the pipes to do a show professionally like you do?
Give me a break.
Well, I will say that, I mean, I don't know about the experience, but you do have kind of that Lou Rawlsy kind of smooth tones in your voice. So I do dig the speaking voice. But, experience only comes with time, man. And honestly, my show was, I can't say it was great when we started off anyway. So it does take time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been a long time for this show. So I'm hoping at some point it does get a little bit better for me, because I got to sit in the room with him. You know what I mean? It's hard. I'm right here.
Listen, let me tell you something, Ken Reedy. You don't come on the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast and give me a hard time. I don't care what the Boston Bad Boy says. So come on, let's try to work together here, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to put up with it. All right, that's the end of that. So, Ken, you were gracious enough of having the Duke on your show during your SummerSlam special, which was pretty fantastic. So I didn't realize that you were going to be coming on here officially here. So, hey, welcome.
I'm happy to be here, man. I mean, I dig, the wrestling biz. It's man, it it can be awesome, and the podcasting thing can be awesome. I think there just needs to be more of a, it's a big pot, so why not promote each other, help each other out? I do think as far as the independent wrestlers and also in podcasts, there's way too much trying to cut each other down, and I think the more we help each other out and give people spots and publicize each other, I think that's the best thing for the business.
Yeah, I know the Boston Bad Boy always tries to cut me down.
Well,
so I
listen,
appreciate you saying
you
that.
do it. You do well enough cutting yourself down, and I just assumed, Ken was throwing some. It must have been a slow news day or something to have you on the show.
Give me a break.
So I just figured I gotta do something nice for him, give him a spot on this show because he went out of his way to waste time talking to you when he knows so much about wrestling. And if I'm going to go to anybody who's an expert, like I've said before. It's not you. It's going to be someone like Ken.
Thanks. Hey, Ken, what's the most challenging part about doing a internet radio wrestling show? Because, as the Boston Bad Boy said, you've been doing this for well over a decade now.
Yeah, it's, honestly, I don't know if there's any one thing that's the toughest. It's just, I guess overall, it's just trying to put out quality week in and week out. Figuring out when you need to change up certain things. Trying to be flexible. I've been lucky to get some decent interviews over the years and made some contacts, but that's always tough getting interviews. And I've been lucky. I know some people have had horror stories with interviews, but I've gotten lucky where most guys I've had on the show have been really gracious and really cool to be on. Sometimes it's funny. You try to find your voice, and you try to find what works and what doesn't. Interesting story. I've had Tommy Dreamer on a couple times, and first time I had him on, it was a tough interview because I was talking a lot of ECW and giving me a lot of one-word answers and stuff. And the next time I talked to him, I asked him more about HOH and his new projects, and it just seemed like ECW's in his past, and HOH is what he's doing now. So, developing my interview technique, it was all right, that's where I have to go with him is not hit the past, hit the present and the future. So, I think just always being able to evolve and realizing that stuff that worked initially may not work now, and changing things up. For us, one of the things, we used to split time evenly between WWE and TNA, and no one ever wanted to talk about TNA.
Wow, I wonder why. Yeah.
We were realizing, we would do things where we'd start off the show, and the first half would go WWE, we'd take a couple phone calls, and then second half we'd hit TNA, and no one would be calling.
It would just die.
I want to cover everything, but if the callers are calling to talk WWE, then we'll be a little more WWE-centric,
You brought up interviews and finding your style and tough interviews, and I know exactly how you feel. We had someone on in towards the beginning of when we started this show, All-Star Michelle D. And here's a person, she has a bodybuilding background, and she also is a pretty tough wrestler as well. And she took exception to me pointing out the fact that she spells her name incorrectly, Ken. Because she spells her name with one L, and the entire world knows that you spell Michelle with two L's. I don't know what kind of nonsense she has going on there. I know that you know Michelle D very well. Can you speak to the fact that she's a troublemaker who purposely spells her name incorrectly just to have a reason to beat somebody up?
Well, I don't think she really needs a reason to beat somebody up. She'll find something. But yeah, that L is pretty important. That lack of the second L. I know she's none too happy when she sees her name misspelled. But yeah, that L thing is pretty important. But like I said, it's not the double L is not the only thing that can get her going. Doesn't take much.
Yeah, Duke's always smart, picking a fight with someone who can rip his head completely off of his shoulders. Yeah. And the fact that he wants to talk about how somebody spells his name when he's called Duke is absolutely insane.
Well,
Ken. I just think that we should move on to something more important, like maybe wrestling during this interview.
Well, okay.
I know that Ken he's very busy.
Sure.
And once again, Duke is furiously writing notes about how to do a show, trying to steal all of Ken's ideas. is. But I know that Ken has some good takes on what's going on coming up.
Sure. Well, but just one last thing, though. All-Star Michelle D with the 1L. Watch your back.
Oh, please.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
move
Ken,
on, Duke.
You watched SummerSlam weekend, of course.
Yes.
Give us the skinny here. Which show was the best show overall? Do you feel that SummerSlam or NXT TakeOver Brooklyn? Which one overall was a better show?
No, I think NXT was the better show. And honestly, like I'm not one of those type fans, and I don't mean that to be like any sort of like pointing the finger, but I'm not like I'm pretty even. I try to judge every wrestler fairly. I don't get I don't have my favorite wrestlers. I kind of root for like storylines and good matches.
You're not a fanboy like Duke. You don't have people you call your nemesis.
Give me a break.
Because Duke thinks he has an actual nemesis.
Does he?
Oh yeah, he thinks that Roman Reigns is his real life arch enemy,
Well,
which
he is.
makes no sense at all.
He is actually.
But see, Roman's a guy that I think that at times the WWE has used him incorrectly.
See?
But when people say that Roman Reigns sucks, Roman Reigns is very good.
See?
I think there's a lot of things that they could tweak as far as his character and how they're using him. But,
Everything.
Yeah, but he's a guy who's a big, muscular dude who moves well in the ring, that can do a lot in there. I like his style in ring, and I like when he's just being a badass ass kicker. I think he's tremendous. It's the other ancillary stuff that I think gets in the way of really formulating his character. But that being said, like I'm not a guy that's going to always say like NXT is so much better than the main roster, because it's not always. And there's a reason why it's developmental. However, I think the WWE like shoots themselves in the foot sometimes when they make these shows so long. And honestly, and I see it on the independent scene as well. Like, a lot of times you can do yourselves a service by just keeping your show a little bit shorter and making sure there's some quality. And let's face it, we've seen it, and I've been in the ring and I've been in matches. There's if you're watching a real shitty 8-minute match, you can kind of be like, all right, whatever, it's over, done with. But you watch a shitty match that goes on for like 15, 20 minutes, it's like,
it feels like 45.
Yeah, and you just want to go to sleep. And I think that there was a few matches that dragged on SummerSlam, and if you're going to make your show like 5 hours long, it's got to be near perfect. Like honestly, like everybody needs to really knock it out of the park, and they didn't. And I think that, was the show terrible? No, but I'd probably give it a solid C+, whereas I would give NXT probably an A.
So what was the best match of the night for NXT?
NXT, the ladies' match was phenomenal.
Of course it was.
And that honestly might be the match of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an old school guy. I really dig the storytelling and everything that happened in that main event. I think Bobby Roode's a guy right now that is firing on all cylinders. He's got the character, he's got the entrance, he's got the in-ring, he's got the look. Everything's working for Bobby Roode right now. I'm really happy for Drew McIntyre. I always looked at that guy as like, wow, you have a 6'5", muscular, good-looking guy, and you really can't figure out anything to do with him. So I'm happy to see him back in an important part of the company. So I don't know if I'd probably go with the women's match. However, I really dug the main event, and it was simple. There was no really crazy spots. It was more of an old school style of wrestling, but I thought the story was told really well. The psychology was done really well in that match, and I'm pumped for Bobby Roode to be on the main roster and do what he's been doing just on a bigger level.
So, we touched upon this a minute ago in Duke's fantasy of having this feud with Roman Reigns. He subscribes to the theory that Cena's going to pass the torch to Roman Reigns. Do you see that happening as we move into the future from here?
To me, over the past few years, John Cena's had some of his best matches in his entire career.
Fact.
And if that match does occur, then yes, I do think we'll probably have a kind of passing of the torch, because I don't think it. John Cena will still be John Cena if he loses to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns losing at WrestleMania to John Cena, it's like, well, where do you go from there?
I mean, that being said, do you think it's time for John Cena to pass up the dungaree shorts?
All right.
And move on from
right
that gimmick? Because we have this ongoing discussion about the dungaree shorts and if that's a look that really should continue into the future as well. It's a very serious question.
I'm impressed. You're like the first guy since like my dad.
That's what I said. That's what I said. Sounds like somebody's grandma.
That's what my grandmother called them.
Yeah, dungarees. Unbelievable.
Well, I've heard jean shorts. I've heard jorts.
Jorts.
Like
Yeah.
dungarees.
Dungarees. Yeah, exactly.
I'm impressed.
You can use that one, Ken, anytime.
Yeah.
You don't even have to quote me.
Problem is, it's just gone on too long. Like at
Right.
this point, like no, he's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame wearing like a suit, jacket, and dungaree shorts.
Unbelievable.
You know, and that's how can we all hope to go into a Hall of Fame in that outfit, I think. Yeah, that's the best we can hope for.
You guys are just terrible. Ken, before we let you go, put your Booker hat on for a second. If you're going to be taking the Universal title and the WWE Championship off of Brock Lesnar and Jinder Mahal, who are the two people who are going to step up and be the next champions?
At first glance, like with the Universal title, I do look at Braun Strowman, but the issue does become WWE creative and how they book going forward. Like Braun Strowman has not been in the WWE for that long, and once you win the title, the only place to go is down. You know, and you got to look at like, all right, Braun Strowman's this monster. If he wins the title now in 2017, who's going to take it off him? And then what do you do with Braun after that? Whereas a guy like, you know, if you decide to put the title on Roman Reigns, I think Reigns has been established enough right now where you can put the title on him and then he can lose it and kind of be okay. You know, it does make sense going in that All-American direction. And do you have Cena break the record beating Jinder? It makes sense storytelling-wise. I just don't know. I mean, SmackDown right now, as much as I do think it's a more solid wrestling show than Raw, and I think it is one of those things like 2 hours as opposed to 3, definitely helps SmackDown. But right now on SmackDown, the U.S. title is more important than the WWE title.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. It's kind of weird right now that it's backwards. I mean, I don't know if we've ever really seen that in the history. I mean, we've gone through a lot of history with those secondary titles meaning nothing. But right now on SmackDown, the feuds that everyone's into is AJ Styles and Kevin Owens and how Shane McMahon is involved, and that's the biggest thing people are into on SmackDown.
Good call. Listen, Ken Reedy, if our fans want to check out the world famous Ken Reedy Show, how can they find that?
You can listen to us on thekenreedyshow.com. We have a listener link right there. You could go to blogtalkradio.com/The Ken Reedy Show. There, all of our episodes are archived, so you can listen to some of our past stuff.
And what about that Twitter handle? If folks want to reach you on Twitter, how do they reach you?
It's a good point. My Twitter handle is @The Ken Reedy Show, and our Facebook page is facebook.com/The Ken Reedy Show.
And that's REEDY Ken Reedy. Listen,
yes.
I'm going to tell you right now, brother, I respect you. I don't know why the Boston Bad Boy brought you on the show to try to top me. But
because I wanted to talk to an actual professional
give me
for
a
once.
break.
Okay,
Give me a
if I'm
break.
going to sit here,
Give me a
I
break.
wanted to have it make sense for me and for the people who listen to this infernal show.
Just stop it. But please, that all-star Michelle D with one L, please.
Oh, give it up, will
Tell her that she's on my list.
You got it.
Listen, when I have a guest on and I need them to send a message to a previous guest who takes the time to threaten me, and my well-being, like that all-star Michelle D with one L when it should be two L's, I don't need you interfering with that.
What do you mean when you have a guest on? You did not have this guest on. I brought this guest on.
Semantics.
I brought this guest on
right.
because I'm trying to make this show palatable to people's ears. Do you
You're
understand
finally
me?
doing your job? Is that what you want a pat on the back, pal? You know what I mean?
Listen, someone's going to do their job around here. It certainly isn't you.
You know, listen, Boston Bad Boy.
You'll never find. I think I'm a better Lou Rawls than you are.
Yeah, well, no,
Come on, give it.
Ken
to me.
Reedy doesn't
You'll never find.
Ken Reedy
Come on,
doesn't
do
agree
it.
with you. No, I'm
Come
not
on, sing a
I
little.
don't-
See, you
I
won't
don't
even
do
sing
that.
it. See?
I don't do that.
Well, that means I'm the winner because you won't do it.
I don't dance. See that? All right. Actually, I do. I can dance. I can
Please
rock
stop.
and roll
please,
all night long, baby.
Please do
That's
not
right.
dance. Please. Doing the old Texas two-step.
Yeah,
Leave that
that's
to
right.
our friends down in Texas.
That's right. Well, listen, folks, up next, we're going to reveal our picks for who's going to win the Money Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight. Can't wait for that. But before we get to any of that, I got to remind you, check out bookprowrestlers.com. That's bookprowrestlers.com. You know, Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Leilani Kai and my man Steve Stasiak, they represent some of the biggest names in the history of pro wrestling. So whether you need somebody for a match, birthday party, maybe you are a mall store and you want someone to do a signing to bring some fans in, listen, check out bookprowrestlers.com. That's right, bookprowrestlers.com for all your wrestling needs. See you at the matches.
Hey everybody, this is Mr. Spectacular, Bryson Scott, Main Event Pro Wrestling, Cruiserweight Champion, NAWA Cruiserweight Champion, and you're listening to Duke Loves Wrestling.
You know, shout out to Mr. Studtacular, Bryson Scott.
Yeah.
He got himself in a little trouble online this week.
I can only imagine.
He was bragging about threatening Jazz, who is a really tough female wrestler.
Yeah.
She's the wife of Rodney Mack.
Okay.
And the thing about Jazz is she is the arch nemesis of Studtacular's wife, Simply Luscious. So this is a big thing. We got two families warring with each other.
See, I don't believe this is. I don't believe any good can come of this.
No.
I think there's only been one wrestler in the history of wrestling that's been able to live the gimmick 24/7, and you know who that is.
The Nature Boy Ric Flair.
That's right. And listen, not everyone can do it.
That's true.
And I think you're just wading into some bad territory doing
Especially with Jazz and Rodney Mack, because, listen, Rodney Mack is the one everyone's really afraid of, but Jazz, she is 100% whoop-ass 100% of the time.
that. Yeah,
True
so
story.
I don't think you want to. Let's just not even go there.
Yeah,
That's what I
let's
tell
not
you.
go
You
there.
like to pick fights with people,
Hey.
and it's ridiculous.
No, it's not, actually. It
You
makes
are
sense.
ridiculous, and
It
the
makes
fact that you're
sense.
picking fights with wrestlers is
Hey,
ridiculous.
because I can run faster than them.
You're
That's
wearing
the-
a sweater vest right now.
I am.
How you gonna attack a wrestler? What's
Yeah.
going on?
Listen, I look like the guy that they don't want to beat up. Leave me alone.
You look
Just
like,
stay out of it.
You look like the guy they feel too sorry to beat up.
Exactly. It's part of my gimmick. You know?
Pity is your gimmick.
That's the way it needs to be. So stop holding out on us here, Boston Bad Boy. Who's this guy?
I'm thinking I pity the fool, except
Yeah.
you're the pitiful fool.
You know,
That's your new tag.
Mr.
T can write something
wore
for
a
you.
vest, so just saying.
Yeah, it was a little different.
Yeah, a little different.
Vest
Yeah,
was
it
a
was
little
dungaree.
different.
Yeah, that's
it
what-
was a dungaree vest. I'm getting you one,
Yeah, please.
and you're gonna have to wear it.
So listen, we heard from the boxing expert,
Yep.
Mike Capiello.
Yep.
So now it's time for you. Let us know who is going to win the fight of the century. Floyd Money Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. Who's going to win that fight?
I'm going to stick with my fellow paisan and say Mayweather's going to clean his clock.
Look at that.
That's what I'm going to do.
Oh.
And you know, as little as I know and care about wrestling, boxing really is on that same level for me. So I'm gonna defer to the expert, a guy who's had time in the ring, a guy who's watched it all. He knows what he's looking for. Someone unlike you, someone that has a little bit of experience, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of big picture vision.
Oh, boy.
And I'm going to say that Mayweather's for it.
All right. Well, look.
Let me guess. I can only imagine you're going to have the contrarian opinion here.
No. You know, Floyd Money Mayweather is absolute. He's going to destroy Conor, and not for any other reason other than the fact that Floyd is one of the greatest boxers of all time. Of course, he's going to beat Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor has no business being in the ring with Floyd Mayweather in a boxing ring.
It's like bringing a
All right?
knife to a gunfight.
Yeah, it's foolish.
Look what happened to CM Punk, right? Perfect
Well,
example.
don't do
Perfect
that.
example.
Don't do that.
Someone who was not, as much training as they took or whatever, it's just not. It doesn't work. Like Mike said, you could turn you could improve fighting. From an MMA guy, you could maybe improve his hands, is what he said. I love the lingo. You improve his hands, but you can't take a boxer and go the other way with it. That's why boxers don't go the other way. But I think to his point also was that you can improve the guy's hands, but they're used to fighting with their whole body. They're not used to the endurance game necessarily. Because a lot of those UFC fights are super short.
Sure.
Short, bloody, in, out, you're done. Pin the guy or whatever, knock him out with a shin to the face. You can't do that. You've got to go eye to eye with somebody. And I think it's a lot more psychological when you're boxing because you're just having to slug it out eye to eye with the guy.
Sure. So you go from you don't care to you give all this analysis like you know what you're talking about. Imagine that. Huh?
Imagine that I know something that you don't know.
Yeah.
Imagine that. You know what? It turns out it's not that hard to know more than you. It's very, very simple.
I'm just gonna leave you with this. Don't you ever disrespect CM Punk on this show ever again.
Please.
Okay?
There's a reason why he's named a punk. You know what I mean?
Don't do that.
He proved he was a punk.
Yeah.
A no good punk. He tried. You know what? He flew too close to the sun.
Yeah.
And you know what? And where is he now? Where is he now?
I'm not a fan.
Where is he now?
I'm not a fan of this type of
Answer
talk.
my question.
We're gonna
answer
move
the question.
On. We're gonna move
answer
on.
the question.
He's training for the next fight.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay.
You know, you should be a press secretary for this White House with all these non-answers you're giving tonight.
Give me a break.
So now we're gonna. You know what? You've annoyed me. I've deleted all the voicemails. I'm not doing any voicemails tonight. I'm not doing any friggin' questions. I'm going right to what I want to talk about. Because I'm sick of listening to you pontificate.
No.
You know, because you know what? I find I'm charged. Because we've had some real people on this show, and we've had some real ideas and some real new opinions. And you know what? Your day is over. I think you've been eclipsed.
Wow.
I think you've been eclipsed.
Imagine that.
And guess who's running the show now, brother?
Not you.
It's me, Austin. It was me all along. So... Here I am quoting Vince McMahon. See, something's wrong.
See that?
I don't know if what's in my water I'm drinking tonight.
Yeah.
So Baron Corbin was the Money in the Bank winner. We all know that, right? He's got the briefcase all the way back in, what was that, April? WrestleMania was?
Sure.
All that time ago?
Sure.
So usually a person who wins, and correct me if I'm wrong, usually a person who wins Money in the Bank holds on to that briefcase before they cash it in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they're using it as a bit of leverage, let's say.
It's a big storyline, absolutely.
Right. So, like, they'll pop it out at an opportune moment when it's going to save their ass from something.
Sure.
But curiously, the WWE has him cash it in a few days before SummerSlam, and then he goes on to get pinned in mere seconds by Jinder Mahal. So, how does that add up? Because to me, it's starting to sound a little fishy that they would waste such an opportunity on SmackDown.
Well, listen, don't go making something out of nothing here. The reality of the situation is you can cash in at any time, and look, obviously they felt the storyline ran its course in the case of Baron Corbin, and they're going to do something else with them.
You know, it's funny
they
because
got the briefcase out of his hand.
No. As always, you like to make it sound like nothing when there's more to the story.
Oh, boy.
Because now there are reports coming out that Corbin has had a bad attitude and was forced to lose the Money in the Bank because of it. And then, as you know, John Cena chewed him out about his attitude, quote unquote. So, what's this really about, Mr. I'm an expert? Prove your expertise tonight for once.
Well,
what is this really going on here? Don't give me spin. Give us the truth.
Don't start spreading rumors that we don't know is necessarily corroborated. I know that in NXT that was a knock against Corbin, but this news coming out claiming that he has a bad attitude and Cena's chewing him out and all that. John Cena's a leader in the WWE. So even if he had to chew somebody out, I'm sure there was a good reason for it.
No.
Okay?
As we know, there is no leadership at the WWE, all right? There is definitely something else going on here. Because think about this. Think about this. It's very... Even an idiot like me can figure this out.
Here we go.
Corbin played in the NFL, did he not?
Yeah.
Something Cena was never able to accomplish, even though he was dreamed about playing in the NFL. Corbin's a world-class athlete. Former boxer. And Cena's just a wrestler.
Oh, boy.
Is it not because Baron Corbin doesn't need the WWE and therefore doesn't let anyone to push him around because he's got talents above and beyond the whole lot of them? That they think, hey, you know what would be a good thing to do? Hey, you know, buddy, Vince says, hey, you know, buddy, John Cena, hey, you know, because they're best friends and they go to cookouts together. Let's teach Corbin a lesson. I have no doubt in my mind the conference happened in Vince McMahon's stupid office, and they sat down and said, let's teach Corbin a lesson because he doesn't need them. He's doing, I think, if it's on me, Corbin's doing the WWE a favor for even being there. And they know it.
Come on.
They know it. So they're going to knock him down a few pegs like they do with everybody.
Let me tell you something. They're not going to spend the time in recruiting, training, and investing in
They
putting
didn't
this
have
guy
to train
on
and
the
invest.
TV.
They didn't have to train and invest. The guy's an athlete. The
all
guy's
right.
an athlete.
Stop
he
it.
knows what he's doing.
Stop
they
it.
should get down on their knees
All right.
and thank a guy like Baron Corbin and put just give him all the titles. Because you know what? Unlike Cena and the rest of the roster who's failing and flopping around here, he deserves them.
Baron Corbin deserves all the titles? Are you kidding me right now? Let me tell you something, pal. Okay? John Cena is the franchise. If he has to get in your face and tell you, hey, watch your attitude because you haven't accomplished anything
You know what
yet,
a franchise?
okay?
Brigham's was a franchise, no longer around. Okay, it became unnecessary.
Oh, my God.
It became superfluous. Yeah. And just like John Cena, the time has passed because a guy like Corbin, he's the real deal. And we know Vince likes to mess with people and not quote unquote knock them down. But he's never going to go out there and do it himself. Yeah. It's like the Rusev story that they're trying to bury, that they're trying to keep him and his wife in a contract. It's unbelievable. And you're crazy for defending him.
I'm done with
Once
this guy.
again.
I'm done with this guy. Thank you.
No, I'm not done with you.
To Little Rock, Mike Capiello, for joining us today.
Thank you indeed.
Also
A breath
Ken
of fresh
Reedy.
air. The two of them, they were like real brains here because what I deal with, people don't know what I struggle with.
Head over to Facebook, head over to Twitter, type in Duke Loves Wrestling. Let us know what you think of the show. I got to get out of here because the Boston Bad Boy is so disrespectful.
Please.
Baron Corbin has a bad attitude, and John Cena had to set him straight.
You have a bad attitude. I'm going to set you straight.
No, you
Not
could
like
never
that
do
fake-o.
that. Stop it.
You're
Give me
out
a
of your
break.
mind.
I'm done with this.